This is part 2, episode 82. Wang Lin stepped into the door of light. When he reappeared on the altar, everyone was already gone, like no one was ever there to begin with. After looking around, he found that he was the only person left. A piece of jade was floating in the air and releasing a gentle glow. Wang Lin waved his right hand and caught the jade. He checked the jade and found a map. The map led to Mount Suzaku. He pondered for a bit and sat down in the lotus position. He had sustained heavy injuries in his fight against Red Butterfly and his cultivation was unstable. Even if he were to take pills, they would only help a bit and he wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time. If he wanted to completely recover, he would have to enter closed-door cultivation. After a long time, the sky darkened and Wang Lin stood up. He slapped his bag of holding and the mosquito beast appeared. He sat down on the mosquito, sent out a message to the mosquito, and continued to cultivate. The mosquito's flight became more smooth as it headed toward the direction Wang Lin instructed. The night was very quiet in Suzaku. The moon was high in the sky and moonlight covered the ground. 3 days later, a strange scene occurred in the back mountain of Mount Suzaku. Mount Suzaku was the holy land of Suzaku. In the front was the Suzaku's palace, and in the back was the back mountain of Suzaku, where one would require the permission of the current Suzaku to enter. The back mountain wasn't very large, it was only a large cave. This cave was divided into 4 layers. At the moment, there were 2 deep pools on the second layer. Both pools were releasing white gas. However, the gases from the 2 pools acted differently when they reached the ceiling. The white gas from one of the pools would immediately turn into frost and spread out. The white gas from the other pool would immediately become red water droplets and disappear into the ceiling. One pool was cold and the other was hot. The cool pool contained 30,000-year-old cold water from the heavenly frost planet. Suzaku paid a huge price for it. The flame pool contained 30,000-year-old fire from the origin fire planet. The cost was the same as the cool pool. Around these 2 pools were 99 top-quality spirit stones that made up 2 different formations and released an unimaginable amount of spiritual energy. At this moment, in the centers of each of the 2 pools, sat 1 male and 1 female. The man was sitting above the flame pool and the female was sitting above the cold pool. Both of them were wearing very thin clothes and were cultivating. The male wasn't very handsome, but he emitted a slightly evil aura. However, this evil aura didn't irritate people. Instead, it made people feel a strange intimacy toward him. The female wasn't any less beautiful than Red Butterfly. She could be considered a national treasure. In addition, compared to Red Butterfly, this girl had a more charming atmosphere about her, making her even more alluring. If Wang Lin was here, he would feel that this woman was familiar. At this moment, an old man covered in a red glow entered the cave. This old man looked exactly like the dirty old man who gave Wang Lin the straw hat. However, their auras were very different. This was clearly a different person. After a long time, the old man slowly said, "Qian Feng." The male sitting inside the flame pool opened his eyes. The evil aura around him became even stronger. He remained calm after seeing the old man and said, "Qian Feng greets ancestor. Red Butterfly is inside the secret room. Go and devour her consciousness and domain." The old man's voice was filled with a sense of age. The man's eyes flashed and he said, "Red Butterfly. But she is Shuiyu's heavenly daughter." When he said heavenly daughter, he licked his lips and made a face filled with disdain. The old man slowly said, "Her ruthless domain had a breakthrough in her battle with Seng Nyo, so it's about to reach its first completion, but she hasn't realized it yet. Once you devour her, you will have gained the ruthless domain. As a result, your chance of reaching the ascendant stage will increase a bit more. I have searched for a very long time for this girl." The male stood up. As he did this, white gas was released from his body. His eyes revealed an evil gaze as he muttered, "Seng Nyo. I don't know if he can take 1 hit using 10% of my cultivation, with his cultivation level right now." The old man sighed. It is a bit regrettable about Red Butterfly. This girl. Ah, I'm getting old and just can't bear to do certain things. Forget it, you go. The male faintly smiled and said, Ancestor, you always say regrettable, but the title of Suzaku won't be passed to an outsider. It will either be me or junior apprentice sister. With that, his body slowly faded until it disappeared. Inside a chamber, Red Butterfly was cultivating with her eyes closed to recover. She opened her eyes and said, Sengnyo, next time I'll definitely kill you. A gentle voice suddenly appeared inside the chamber. I'll grant your wish for you. Who? Red Butterfly's eyes suddenly became serious. The evil-looking young man came out of the void and said to Red Butterfly, I'm Qian Feng. Then he casually pointed with his finger. Red Butterfly's face changed. Her hand formed a seal and a red light started being emitted from her body. The young man shook his head and revealed a mocking smile. His finger shattered the red light and landed between Red Butterfly's eyebrows. Red Butterfly's body trembled. She wanted to struggle, but that finger was like a mountain. It made her unable to resist. What are you doing? Red Butterfly forced herself to calm down. Qian Feng's eyes look extremely evil as he whispered in Red Butterfly's ear. I want your domain and your 4 elemental spirits. Red Butterfly's master calculated that she would go through a calamity. However, her master got the wrong person. It wasn't Wang Lin, but this Qian Feng. Inside the cave, the old man sighed again. Unfortunately, there can only be one Suzaku. The old man's gaze landed on the woman sitting in the cold pool as he said, Liu Mai. The woman inside the cold pool opened her eyes. Her eyes were calm as she looked at the old man. This woman was the Xian Dao sect's Liu Mai. The old man said, You made 1,000 avatars to go cultivate at various sects in different countries to comprehend the heaven's laws. One of the avatars went to the Xian Dao sect in Zhao. Remember Wang Lin? He was a disciple of the Hengyu sect. Liu Mai pondered a bit and said, Disciple has some memory, but it's not very clear. That Sengnyo is Wang Lin. There was no shock in Liu Mai's eyes. She only nodded and didn't say a word. The original person I prepared for you was Juyi from the 5 Elements sect. He had the crazed domain. If you could have left your mark on his Dao heart, you could have devoured his crazed domain. Unfortunately, this person disappeared within the celestial realm. Liu Mai pondered. The old man looked at Liu Mai and said, You are about to leave your closed-door cultivation. That Sengnyo should arrive soon, so you should go greet him. Use whatever method you can to leave your mark on his Dao heart. Use this man as your furnace to help your domain reach its greater completion. Once you succeed, you will gain control of his life and death domain. As a result, you will have a higher chance than Feng Er to take the title of Suzaku. Liu Mai let out a sigh. She bit her lower lip and began to ponder. Oh? You're not willing? The old man's eyes glowed red. They seemed reserved yet dignified. Liu Mai whispered, Disciple obeys. The old man raised his head and looked into the distance. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the cave and into the distance where an old man was eating a drumstick in a rank 1 cultivation country. Junior apprentice brother, of the 4 people you picked, Sengnyo is the weakest, so I guess you won't mind. I'm going into closed-door cultivation. I hope that when I come out, you will have already succeeded. After a long time, the old man withdrew his gaze and disappeared in a flash of red light. Liu Mai stood up. Her thin clothes stuck to her body, revealing a perfectly curved and exquisite figure. She wore a pale pink inner dress, and then an outer white dress that revealed her alluring neck. The pleats of the skirt flowed lightly like splendid, white moonlight on the ground. 3,000 strands of her hair were tied up with a ribbon with one strand hanging in front of her chest. Her skin was as white as snow and the faint, red blush that appeared on her face created a very charming and delicate aura. She was like a beautiful butterfly floating in the wind, but at the same time as cold as ice. She was Liu Mai. Compared to when Wang Lin met her, she was even more alluring and beautiful. Wang Lin. Is it the young one with the large sword in the Hengyu sect? Yes, he was the first person to regain his senses. I didn't think that he would enter the eyes of the ancestor in just 500 years. This person is not simple. Liu Mai let out a sigh and walked out of the cave. To leave my mark on his Dao heart will not be hard. However, is this the right way? Liu Mai revealed a look of confusion. At this moment, the evil-looking young man named Qian Feng floated into the cave with someone behind him. The person was Red Butterfly. However, Red Butterfly's eyes were like black holes and there was no sign of life on her body. She was like a puppet. Liu Mai calmly looked at Red Butterfly and didn't say a word. Qian Feng stopped 3 feet away from Liu Mai. He let out a smile, revealing his white teeth, and said, "Junior apprentice sister, are you going to leave?" Liu Mai nodded and whispered, "Senior brother Qian Feng, is the person behind you Red Butterfly?" Qian Feng laughed. "Red Butterfly is already dead. She is my concubine Furnace. Let's just call her Heartless." Liu Mai carefully looked at Red Butterfly until she couldn't really bear to watch anymore. She knew that Red Butterfly had already lost her domain and life energy, and had become Qian Feng's puppet. The fact that a top beauty of this generation had suffered such a fate made Liu Mai feel melancholy. This was the 3rd person devoured by Qian Feng so far. Every time he devoured someone, his cultivation level increased. The ancestor was getting desperate to raise the next Suzaku. Qian Feng looked at Liu Mai's back with an evil gaze and muttered, "Junior apprentice sister, one day you will become my concubine." "Heartless, what do you think?" Red Butterfly stood motionlessly behind him. There was no light in her eyes. It was as if she was just a corpse. Somewhere in a rank 1 cultivation country in Suzaku, a dirty old man, who was eating a drumstick suddenly coughed a few times and spat out the chicken meat in his mouth. His face was extremely gloomy as he stood up, but then, after pondering a bit, he sat down. His expression was extremely ugly as he muttered to himself, "Senior apprentice brother, you and I have battled throughout our entire lives. Are we going to continue to fight even when we are about to die? I lost the battle for the title of Suzaku back then so you could have it. But you shouldn't push it too far. Since Wang Lin was able to return from the celestial realm, he is chosen by me. If you ruin him, I'll ruin Qian Feng." He threw the chicken drumstick in his hand away, and his eyes glowed with anger. "However, I wonder what are the chances of that junior Wang Lin turning that little girl Liu Mai into his cultivation furnace are. Senior apprentice brother, let's see if your disciple is better, or if my chosen candidate is superior. That will also be very fun." Wang Lin was cultivating with his eyes closed while sitting on the mosquito beast. After a long time, he opened his eyes and sighed. "My body's injuries are fine, but the injuries to my soul are a problem. Also, I have this feeling of danger here in Suzaku. This feeling is definitely accurate. Red Butterfly's injuries were similar to mine, but she had a breakthrough. If I can't reach the late stage of soul formation by the time she comes out of closed-door cultivation, I'm afraid I won't be able to defend against her." Wang Lin was in deep thought when his expression suddenly changed. The mosquito stopped flying and looked around in confusion. "Big Dipper transfer." An ancient voice suddenly yelled, and then a giant formation appeared in the sky. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to put the mosquito away and teleport. However, he only teleported 1,000 feet away before he was knocked out of his teleportation by an invisible force. Shortly after, the formation in the sky moved and a powerful surge of spiritual energy poured out of it. Wang Lin was shocked and was sucked into the formation. In the blink of an eye, his body disappeared inside the formation. The formation slowly disappeared and an old man slowly walked out. He muttered, "Country of Shuiyu, you owe this old man a favor." This person was the one that was sitting next to Gong Sunpa. He was a foreign affairs elder. In a deserted area in the northern end of the Suzaku continent, a giant formation suddenly opened up and a person was thrown out. Wang Lin stopped his body mid-air. He looked around and his expression darkened. There was a middle-aged man before him as well as tables, chairs, and a tea set. The middle-aged man was sitting on the chair as he picked up the cup, took a sip, and said, "Junior Seng Nyo, I'm Shuiyu's sect master, Li Yuanfeng." I'm here to take your life for Red Butterfly. Soul transformation. He was able to tell the middle-aged man's cultivation level at a glance. His expression darkened even more. Without any hesitation, he tried to rip open a spatial rift to escape with the star compass. Wang Lin knew that he couldn't resist a soul transformation cultivator. He could only try to escape. However, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly became cold. Normally, with Wang Lin's cultivation level, he could easily tear open space, but right now, he couldn't tear it open even when using all his power. This didn't have anything to do with his cultivation level dropping. After all, he was still at the early stage of soul formation, so he should have easily been able to open a spatial rift. The middle-aged man put down the teacup and shook his head. Little guy, to prevent you from escaping, I set a formation to seal the space in this area. Your star compass might as well be a pile of trash here. Without a word, Wang Lin turned to teleport, but then his eyes suddenly became even colder. He couldn't teleport. The star compass was useless and teleportation was useless. This person had clearly done plenty of research to set up this trap that prevented Wang Lin from escaping. Wang Lin took one step and quickly backed away. The middle-aged man casually poured another cup, gently blew at the tea, took a sip, put down the cup, and stood up. He shook his head and said, I normally don't act, but when I do, I don't let my guard down just because my target is at the soul formation stage. Seng Nyo, you are definitely dying this time. He flew after Wang Lin. The middle-aged man flew at exactly the same speed as Wang Lin. He was going too slow to catch up on purpose, like a cat playing with a mouse. Wang Lin's expression darkened even more. He slapped his bag of holding and took out a piece of jade. He filled it with spiritual energy, causing a blue flame to quickly surround it, and then it disappeared. Sun Tai, come quickly. Wang Lin sighed. Not long after, he quickly stopped. Before him stood 3 people. The 3 of them were all wearing black robes and their faces were covered. The person in the middle took a step forward and then an oppressive aura appeared. Another soul transformation cultivator. Wang Lin's heart felt very bitter. At this moment, the middle-aged man arrived. He stopped 100 feet away from Wang Lin and said, there is no need to run, Seng Nyo. Today is the day you die. With that, he raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. A whirlwind suddenly appeared and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin quickly backed up. He took out the celestial sword and slashed at the whirlwind. The sword energy shattered the whirlwind and charged toward the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man revealed a mocking smile. He caught the sword energy with his hand and crushed it. What's this? The middle-aged man was a bit surprised. His right hand felt a bit numb. Wang Lin sighed again. After his cultivation level dropped, his spiritual energy was a mess. His origin soul had also taken damage, so he couldn't even show the same power he had when fighting Red Butterfly. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and turned around to escape again. Just at this moment, the soul transformation cultivator wearing black robes let out snort. He caught up to Wang Lin like lightning and gently hit Wang Lin's back with his palm. Wang Lin let out a painful groan. He only had time to focus all of the remaining spiritual energy in his body on his back and use the celestial sword to block. However, his body was still hit by a powerful force and was knocked into the ground 1,000 feet away. He coughed out a huge mouthful of blood along with some small pieces of his internal organs. Wang Lin's face was almost like a dead person's. There were now more injuries on top of his previous ones. The black-robed person reached out and took Wang Lin's celestial sword. He said, "This is a good sword. There is even a sword spirit inside. Not bad." The middle-aged man faintly smiled and said, "This sword belongs to you, but that little flag that can attract divine retribution belongs to me." The black-robed old man laughed and said, "Okay. The star compass originally belonged to my clan, so I'm going to take it back." The middle-aged man nodded and said, "Of course." Wang Lin struggled to get up. His legs were trembling slightly. This was due to his injuries. With a sullen expression, he looked at the black-robed old man and said, giant demon clan. The black-robed old man took off his mask, revealing a gray-haired elder, but his eyes were like the moonlight. He looked at Wang Lin and laughed. Junior Seng Nyo, this old man is indeed from the giant demon clan. Back in the celestial realm, you stole the star compass from our young master, so I'm here to take it back today. I hope you won't mind. Wang Lin's gaze was dark. His right hand trembled as he took out pills from his bag and ate them before the two soul transformation cultivators. Then he calmly said, "Two soul transformation old monsters came out at once to kill me. This honor, I'll remember it." The middle-aged man faintly smiled and said, "That is correct. Even though you are going to die, you should die with a smile. As for your treasures, I'm very interested in them." With that, he pointed at Wang Lin again. This time, a surge of spiritual energy shot out from the middle-aged man's finger toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin had managed to recover a bit of spiritual energy, so he took out the restriction flag and shook it. Restriction gas came out and formed walls of restriction to block that surge of spiritual energy. Many layers of the restriction gas were shattered, but it managed to stop the spiritual energy that was heading toward Wang Lin. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up as looked toward the restriction flag in Wang Lin's hand and smiled. What a good little flag. I have to study it carefully. From his point of view, Seng Nyo would die for sure. It was impossible for two soul transformation cultivators to be unable to kill a mere soul formation cultivator. Wang Lin's face became even more pale, and a hint of despair appeared in his heart. His original body definitely couldn't come. Ignoring the fact that it was too far away, his original body still couldn't come here, or he would die for real. He had to stall for time until Sun Tai arrived. This was the only way. However, all of his spiritual energy was used up when he used the restriction flag. There was no more spiritual energy left in his body. The middle-aged man was about to point his finger again, when one of the people in black beside the old man went forth and respectfully said, "Ancestor, let Junior kill this person to avenge myself." The middle-aged man lowered his hand and looked toward the ancestor of the giant demon clan. The ancestor looked at the black-cloaked person and nodded. The black-cloaked person turned around and took off his mask. It was Kai-Hu. Kai-Hu's eyes were calm as he flew toward Wang Lin. Kai-Hu. As Wang Lin held the restriction flag in his hand, his eyes revealed a complicated feeling. "Seng Nyo, accept your death." Kai-Hu shouted, but his eyes revealed a mysterious light. His palm shot out a wave of spiritual energy. When Wang Lin saw Kai-Hu's gaze, his heart skipped a beat. That wave of spiritual energy that was flying toward Wang Lin had no attack power. It was absorbed by Wang Lin's body. Soon, spiritual energy began to fill Wang Lin's body. This video will end here.